Measles, mumps, and rubella, 3 diseases that can lead to death. My speech is about why parents should allow their child to get the MMR vaccine. The purpose of my speech is to inform you on why the MMR vaccine is safe, effective, and helps with prevention against deadly diseases. The 3 main points I will be discussing in my speech is why the MMR vaccine is safe, effective in protecting children against other diseases, and prevents other severe health issues. I will also be discussing objections and disadvantages of the MMR vaccination. First, I am going to give a quick overview of the MMR vaccine and why it's safe. The MMR vaccine has been around for over 50 years. Before the MMR vaccine was developed, there was an individual vaccine for measles, mumps, and rubella. When these 3 vaccines were combined, it became more convenient for patients. This allowed fewer injections and fewer missed doses. It also allowed more protection in a shorter time. The Smithsonian Museum states, in the U.S., measles, mumps, and rubella are now prevented by a single combined vaccine, known as MMR. The combined vaccine was developed by Dr. Maurice Hilleman in 1971. In 1979, it was modified, substituting Dr. Stanley Plotin's more effective rubella vaccine. And then this is an image of the 6 vaccines of the 20th century, which averted illness, disability, and death and changed the face of the world. The first one is the MMR vaccine. Source, Smithsonian Museum. Millions of MMR vaccines have been given worldwide. There are many studies that show the MMR vaccine is safe for children. A study was done in Finland due to fears of potential measles outbreak. This study was published in 2000 by Pediatric Infectious Disease Journal. Jackie Wise from PubMed Central states, the Finnish study followed 1.8 million individuals for 14 years from the start of the MMR vaccination program in 1982. By the end of 1996, almost 3 million vaccine doses had been given, and 173 potentially serious reactions had been recorded as having possibly been caused by the vaccine. The study's author, Helsinki, reported almost half of these reactions were caused by some other factor. One objection parents have against the MMR vaccine is the potential risk of autism. In 1998, a study was published about 12 children who had received the MMR vaccine and developed autism. Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health states, the issue was first raised by an article published by Andrew Wakefield in 1998. He was a GI doctor at the Royal Free Hospital in London, a very known hospital, and he published a paper in The Lancet, a prestigious journal. He looked at 12 children, 8 of whom the parents reported developing autism after getting the MMR vaccine. The paper had reported loss of developmental skills, which included language. The paper had later been retracted due to many problems with the research that had been conducted. Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health states, there were lots of problems later found with what was published. For example, the cases were not consecutive, and we know that given that the age when children receive the MMR is also the age when some children regress into autism, there will be a temporal relationship. By change alone, some children would develop autism after vaccination. With this evidence and other studies conducted, there is no real link between the MMR vaccine and autism. Next, research shows that the MMR vaccine is safe for children and also effective in protecting children against measles, mumps, and rubella. The CDC states, the MMR vaccine protects your child from measles, mumps, and rubella, potentially serious diseases caused by viruses. Almost everyone who has not had the MMR vaccine will get sick if they are exposed to those viruses. Vaccination also limits the size, duration, and the spread of the outbreaks. This image shows the research of the effectiveness against 1 and 2 doses of the MMR vaccine. Source, CDC. A study given by PubMed Central evaluates the effectiveness of the MMR vaccine against measles, mumps, and rubella. The study included 11,000 children, which included children who had not received the MMR vaccine and children who had received 1 and 2 doses. PubMed Central states 20.9% of children did not receive the MMR vaccine. Almost 50% and 30% received 1 and 2 doses. There were no hospitalizations for rubella, but there were 2 hospitalizations for mumps and 12 for measles. The MMR vaccine was very protective against measles and mumps hospitalizations. MMR vaccination is effective for prevention of target and non-targeted diseases and will also limit hospitalization for respiratory diseases. This table shows the hospitalization for measles and mumps, all infectious diseases and respiratory diseases for all MMR vaccine doses. PubMed Central states, with regard to the target diseases of vaccination, over the period studied, no hospitalizations occurred for rubella, 2 hospitalizations were seen for mumps, and 12 occurred for measles, of which 9 among not vaccinated group, 3 among those vaccinated with 1 dose, and none among who received 2 doses of the vaccine. You can see that getting both doses of the MMR vaccine is effective and protects children against these diseases. Source PubMed Central. An objection parents have is the immunity against these diseases decreasing over time, and even with the vaccine, there's still a possibility their child could get measles, mumps, or rubella if they are exposed. The CDC states, some vaccinated people may still be at risk of getting measles, mumps, or rubella if they are exposed to these viruses. There are many factors such as patients' immune systems not responding as well as they should to the vaccine, a decrease in patients' ability to fight the infections over time, or patients having prolonged close contact with someone who has the virus. While there is still a possibility immunity from the vaccine will decrease over time, disease symptoms are milder in those who have the vaccine, and they are less likely to spread the disease to others. Finally, the MMR vaccine isn't just effective in protecting children against measles, mumps, and rubella, but it is also effective in protecting children from other severe health issues. A study done by PubMed Central shows how effective the MMR vaccine is protecting children against infectious diseases and respiratory diseases. First, we will look at the evidence of the infectious diseases that MMR protects. This table is a description of the hospitalization for infectious diseases in children not vaccinated with 1 and 2 doses. This table shows that children who have received both doses of the MMR vaccine are more likely able to fight off other viruses and infectious diseases, such as whooping cough, ill-defined intestinal infections, and streptococcal sore throat and scarlet fever. Source PubMed Central. PubMed Central states, as for all infectious diseases, the target and non-target of vaccination, 414 hospitalizations were noted, of which 262 among those non-vaccinated, 82 among those who had received 1 dose of the vaccine, and 70 between those who had received 2 doses. Overall, the vaccine was highly protected against hospitalizations for all infectious diseases. Next, I will discuss the evidence regarding all of the respiratory diseases the MMR vaccine protects children from. This is a table of hospitalizations for respiratory in children not vaccinated with 1 and 2 doses. This table shows that 2 doses of the MMR vaccine protects children from other respiratory diseases such as acute sinusitis, other bacterial pneumonia, and allergic rhinitis. PubMed Central states, with regard to respiratory disease, there were 809 admissions, of which 424 among those who had not been vaccinated. 202 among children vaccinated having received just the first dose, and 183 among children who received 2 doses. Overall, the vaccine was highly protective against hospitalizations for respiratory diseases. Using the previous study from PubMed Central, the 2 tables also show that the 2 doses of the MMR vaccine don't always fight off other diseases. While the MMR vaccine might not protect against every infectious or respiratory disease, that's not what it's intended to do. The vaccine is intended to protect against measles, mumps, and rubella, but another perk is its likeliness, effectiveness against other diseases. In conclusion, while some may have objections about the MMR vaccine, such as causing autism, the effectiveness decreasing over time, and not being effective against other diseases, research shows that the MMR vaccine is safe, effective, and preventative. Additionally, fight for your child's health and give them the MMR vaccine. Thank you.